Hey team, it is once again Sunday and time to dive into this week's ETF and max list review. So let's take it from the top. And this is another very important lesson. Weekly chart on the left, daily chart on the right. This is a great template I've used since the last century and it helps. Another important lesson, color backgrounds. You will find that if you use a high resolution, like black in the black background and then these colors here, you can distinguish and see much better what's going on in the charts. I'll say this, please don't stare at charts that have white backgrounds. It's too hard on your eyes, okay? I've done research on this, okay? So let's move on here. ARK Innovation, you can see it's lifting up and it's fairly strong on the weekly, good base on the weekly. Good lift on the daily. You could punch up ARKK and find out what their top 10 holdings are. And you can find that on the internet for free. Now, here's the one risk. It's a little bit extended, so you have to be careful with that. Don't chase extended stocks, or ETFs. ARK Next Generation, also picking up here. Look at the weekly grinding up, lifting up here. Now, what does that tell us? Well, it's extended, but there's strength in the group. Maybe there's other stocks in the group that will start moving out of clean bases. You can punch up ARKW and find out other leading stocks in the group that aren't extended. Biotechnology is lagging. I mean, do a compare and contrast. Oh, that's showing some strength there, Pat. Oh, you know what? That's not. Stay away from biotechnology. It's that simple. You're done. Let's move on. Energy. Oh, by the way, you can always see the ticker name right up here, okay, what it is. Energy. It's formed kind of a base across here, and you can see it on the weekly, and you can see it on the daily. Note this, good education, up on heavy volume here, pulls back on less volume. Perhaps energy is going to start picking up, okay? ERX, something to take a look into. What's it going to need? Good price and good volume. There you go. Let's continue onwards. We'll go through this. Dow Jones Internet. Look at that. Look at the strength here. Have we been involved in technology? Oh, yes. Not just recently, for a while. It's been telling us to. You can't deny reality. There's the strength. So it's a bit extended here. I wouldn't buy this here, okay, or here, but maybe there's other opportunities in that group. FDN, top 10 holdings, see what they find. Continue onwards. IBD 50. Do we own some IBD 50 stocks? Yes, and we have. It's told us to. Please note, I'm not bragging. No, I'm trying to show you what to look for, because it's going to happen over and over again. It does. There's nothing new under the sun. It works. You can say, how can you say that, Pat? There's nothing new under the sun. Who makes the investing decisions? Humans. Humans and our mindset, right, has not changed forever, okay? It's a fact. It's a psychological fact. We just get in line with it. That'll help you. Don't argue with it. Gold miners, what does this tell you? Stay away from gold miners. Done. GDX, junior gold miners, stay away from they're sloppy right now. Be cautious with it. Gold, no power, stay away from it. Don't overthink it. That's it. Move on. Cybersecurity showing some strength. Maybe looking at some cybersecurity stocks. It is a little bit extended in price, so be careful buying this, but maybe there's some stocks in the group that haven't moved yet. But remember this, and this is another important lesson. Focus on leaders. Let's suppose there's 5 stocks in this group, and 4 of them are really moving and done well, and the 5th one is doing nothing, languishing. It's underperforming for a reason. Be careful. Buy strength. Don't buy weakness. Let's move on. Here we go. I love doing this stuff. This is fun. Biotechnology. Now, this is picking up a little bit here. You can see it on the daily and the weekly. What's the best thing this could do? It's made a big move just to get up near this pivot. It'd be nice if it could go sideways for a couple of days and take off. Note this also. Good volume pickup on the weekly. Close near the highs on the weekly chart, as you can see. Maybe looking at biotechnology. There you go. I'm writing that down. Let's move on. Online retail. Isn't that nice? Look at that simple base, folks. Isn't that beautiful and how it's working? God, is there any big online retail stocks? God, what is that? It's Nile. Yeah, Nile. No, that's not it. Yeah, you know, it's Amazon. And this is why we've also been involved in Amazon. The Amazon chart looks good, which is a max list stock, and the ETF looks good. Confirmation, double confirmation. Move on. Software technology. Are we involved with software technology? Yeah, we're involved with technology stocks. This is working. Okay, now it's extended, but it does show that there's strength there. There you go. Maybe you'll find one that hasn't moved much yet, but be sure not to buy laggards. That's an important lesson too. Buy leaders, not laggards. Medicine's picking up a little bit. It's kind of choppy here though, okay? Look at this. Runs up, they take it down. Gaps up, runs up, reverses down. Kind of whippy. Be a little cautious with the medicine section, okay? Or medical. Mid-cap hangs in pretty good here. Look at the weekly and the daily. What does that say? The rally is not just in small cap stocks. The rally is not just in large cap stocks. It's in mid cap also. There you go. You'll see more of that in a minute. Aerospace defense picked up strong. Look at that. Have you noticed the common theme? As I'm going through here, you go, boy, that's fairly strong. Oh boy, that one's fairly strong too. Oh, that one's too. It's telling us it's not a narrow rally advance. But that being said, please don't get sloppy, okay? Please always maintain risk control and discipline. Home construction is really not doing too much here, is it? I just showed you a bunch of ETFs that are really working. So far, this isn't doing too much at this time. However, and this is a valuable lesson. Oh, look, it's a red bar. That's bad. Look where it closed. Oh, look, there's another red bar. But look where it closed on increasing volume on both of them. And naturally, this is something that's very much, what is it? Home builders. Interest rate sensitive. And you know what they're doing with interest rates. There's no really clean entry on it now, but it'll be something to watch going forward. Let's move on. Here we go. S&P 500 growth, steadily growing. Look. It says growth at big stock. Big cap growth is a good place to be. Let's move on. Small caps picked up. Look into small caps. There we go. You don't have to overthink it. Real estate. That one's kind of lagging too. Another real estate ETF. What's that say? Just be a little careful with the real estate section. Okay. Transportation's acting okay. There's no clean entry, but there's strength on the weekly and the daily. You could look into something. Maybe you'll find one there. Airlines acting fine. Look at that. Look at the trend of the 8 EMA. There is years of research in that moving average, by the way, folks. That is the 8-period exponential moving average. Okay? There you go. Oh, by the way, this is the 20-day simple, 21 exponential, and 50-day simple. My mistake, sorry. Let's continue onwards. KBE, banks, act okay. That's good to see. Little pennant formation here, but it does tell us it's nice when the financials are doing well too. Something to consider, okay, or to know. Insurance is kind of sloppy up there. Gaps up, drops, needs to take out these tops, but it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad, just not a clean entry at this point in time. Watch it going forward. Regional banks acts okay. That's good to see. Mid-cap strong. That's good to see. Oil services is acting decent on the daily, but then you look at the weekly and you go, gosh, there's some overhead supply on that, Babel. See, tells you be a little cautious. Don't get. If you just looked at this and nothing else, you'd say, oh, that looks great. But then you look at the weekly and you go, man, there's a lot of overhead supply. I'll be a little cautious with it. That's why we do what we do at Mission Winners. It works. Continue onwards. Pharmaceutical, they need drugs. Okay? That's dad humor, okay? There's just no power there at this point in time. Be careful with pharmaceuticals. NASDAQ 100, QLDs acting fine. Yeah. What are some NASDAQ 100 stocks? The Max list, right? There you go. I love that list of stocks. So there's strength there. Good. Continue on. QQQ, same situation. Retailing's acting decent. The consumer's buying. That's good to see. Look at retail stocks. Cloud computing, another technology sector that's moving up. Silver, stay away. Now, isn't that good to know? Think about this. Opposite sides of the same coin. Things to look into, industries to look into, or industries to avoid. There we go. Continue onward. Steel's acting decent. A little sloppy up here, a little gappy, but steel's not acting bad. Semiconductors doesn't look too bad. You look at the daily, you look at the weekly. If it come across these tops right here, perhaps that'll be a lift. But you could also look at the semiconductor stocks. Some semiconductor stocks, I like that. This one's a little sloppier, okay? Do a compare and contrast. SMH doesn't look too bad. Direxion is underperforming, all right? Be cognizant of that. S&P 500, spiders near highs. What has it been telling us? Hey, you can buy some stocks. You can buy some S&P 500 stocks. As leveraged SSO, same situation. Solar, what does that tell you? Stay away. I'm going to go back to this. Oh, that's steadily going up. That's good. Oh, that's dropping. Stay away from solar. Done. Oh, maybe it's going to bounce. We don't play the maybe game at Mission Winners. We look for strength and we stay with it. And it helps us. We don't impose our will on the stock. Small caps are acting decent. Look into small caps. Oil's still a little bit of sloppy. Be careful with that. Aerospace and defense picked off across these tops right here. You can see that lift there. Not much volume on it, but there is strength in the sector. All right. Remember, this isn't just representing one company. This is representing a bunch of stocks in that industry group. We like that, and we key on strength. Biotechnology's picking up. You can see it on the daily. Look at that long weekly base. Now, here's the one risk with it. It took a big move here just to get up to the pivot price, just to get up to that line. So it might pause here a bit. So just be careful chasing price on this. If you buy, go smaller. Trying to help there. Here we go. It is. There we go. Let's continue on. Home builders, it's okay, but not as strong as the other. Materials, okay, but nothing really special. Communications acting decent. That's nice to see. Look into that. Energy's okay. You can say, yeah, I see this right here, but this is why I look at weekly. Right here, watch this, please. You can see these tops and say, that's pretty clean, simple line right there, Pat. I agree, right there. But then you go to the weekly and you say, oh, whoa, wait a minute. Excuse me. You go, wait a minute, and say, hey, that's a longer base right there on the weekly. See, look at that. That goes all the way back. This goes back to September, late August, early September. This goes all the way back to May. Okay. So what does it say? Well, energy looks fairly strong. There could be, by the way, what was the first ETF we wrote down today? Remember? ERX. What is that? Energy. You see? See how you build a case? Birds of a feather flock together. There we go. It needs to push through that line, and it needs to push through with volume. Financials acting decent. No real clean entry at the time, but it's nice to see financials acting okay. Industrials are acting okay. Technology is strong. That's good to see. Consumer staples is lagging. Compare and contrast. Oh, look, that's hitting highs for the move up there. Oh, that's near the lows, down low here. Not much power there. Be careful with consumer staples. By the way, this is a powerful lesson. Consumer staples, things you gotta have. You gotta have toothpaste. You gotta have toilet paper, right? Things like that. I'm not trying to be funny. It's the reality. That's what consumer staples are. It's more defensive. You've got to have toothpaste. You've got to have toilet. You know what I'm saying? This is more defensive. So far, we're seeing a lot of sectors that aren't defensive. They're not necessities. Technology, etc., growth. What does that say? It's a risk-on environment, and it has been. They're buying, and we have too. That's a $1 million education right there, kids. And you go, we're not kids. Well, yeah, I guess, I'm still that way because I got kids. Heck, I got grandkids. How about that? Second oldest son's birthday today. How about that? The Googler. Yeah, here we go. XLU, he's the mountain man and the parachuter. Years ago, he says, yeah, Dad, I'm gonna go camping. I said, really? Where are you gonna go? He says, I think I'm gonna go camp in the Sahara Desert. Oh, really? And so he went by himself. There we go. XLU, and I'm not going to mention names. We don't do any of that stuff. Love them all. Utilities, nothing there. Healthcare, really nothing going on there. Consumer discretionary is acting decent. Look at that. Look at that going up. That's nice to see. Maybe look into that sector. We'll wrap up this. Metals and mining acting okay. Area to look into. Oil and gas is acting okay here on the daily. But then you look at the weekly and go, man, there's a lot of overhead supply. That's why we look at weekly and daily side by side. There we go. Let's wrap this up here, okay? Here you go. Retail's acting decent. You can say that looks all right, but you look at the weekly and say, oh, that broke across there. Okay, retail, they're buying retail stocks. What's it say? They're buying stocks. And you can say, well, that's simple. No, they're buying stocks. Institutions are buying stocks in a lot of different sectors, and they have been. That's good to know. Oh, look at that software, another software ETF. Okay, are we involved with software? Well, yeah, look at what it's doing on the weekly. It's been telling us, hey, you might want to look into me. There might be some opportunity. We look for strength, and there it is. Here we go. Apple's picking up, but you can see on the weekly and on the daily, it's kind of choppy. Look at the red volume. selling bars. There's not a lot of power there. What does that tell us? Be a little careful with Apple. There we go. Do we own it? No. There's Amazon. Basing. Look at this weekly base right here, and it lifted off on a pickup in volume. Here's the daily picking up. Look at the green bars that came into it. Do we own Amazon? Yeah, we do. MAXLIST stock, simple base, volume lifting, and we're in it. Now, I'm not saying buy it here, but I'm just trying to educate on what to look for. This is a big thing with me. My background, as you know, is in education. I taught, and it's on university level stuff, hardcore stuff, all right? The issue is this. It's not just to give ideas, it's to explain why. Then you have that knowledge base that will help you make better investing decisions. That's a big thing with me. Alibaba, there's really not much power there. Leave that alone. BIDU, there's really not much power. I mean, folks, let's look at this right here. The market spikes up this week. Look at where it closes here on the Friday. Closes near the lows. There's no power. Leave it alone for right now. That's it. Google's picking up in it. Now, what do you see here? Oh, it lifted up, but it didn't close that strong. And then it started to pick up, and it closed fairly strong on this bar and on this bar near the highs. There's strength there. Price alerts set. If this could just base out maybe 1 or 2 days and then go across these tops, and I'll draw this to help you. Just like so. Go across these tops with volume. Maybe we'll buy more. That's the daily. And this is why I look at weeklies. And again, here we go. We'll do it right there. There you go. Go across these tops. That's what we're looking for. This is the daily. This is the weekly. Now, why do we need to see power? It's a powerful lesson for everybody. Say, well, that's a green bar on the weekly, Pat. That looks really good on heavy volume. Look at where it closed on the weekly, the midpoint. Where did it close on the daily on this bar? It closed near the lows. You can say, oh, that's a green bar. Yeah, but it closed near the lows. It was met with selling pressure, folks. It gapped up on buying, but then there was selling that came into it as the day progressed. It needs to take out this line, and it needs to do it with really good volume. There you go. And we have, by the way, I've got price alerts set. We're going to do something else. I'm going to drop it down here just a bit. Another valuable lesson for everybody. And these are the things we teach at the Mission Winners. I was going to say IBD meetups because I did there too. So here we go. You can see these tops across here, close near the highs, gapped or dropped down on less volume. You've got clean tops. See the price alert set? It needs to take out these tops with volume. Valuable lesson. Don't set your price alert at the pivot. Set it a little earlier, as I stated earlier and state on these videos every week. There we go. Things we teach. Goldman Sachs gapped up on earnings. It's basing here. Good volume on that gap up. This could be a potential aggressive buy. And it would be aggressive because it's made a good move. Take out those tops with volume and a good market. But note, it gapped up big here. It expended a lot of energy on that gap up, okay? It's riskier. How can you control risk with a situation like this? And this is what we teach in Mission Winners. How can buy less shares? Good investing is not one size fits all. Good to remember. You go bigger on the long base breakouts and smaller on the other ones. This is kind of loose here on the daily. I mean, that's an ugly bar, folks. Whipping around and then it gaps up, back and forth, back and forth. Whippy charts indicate high investor emotions. High investor emotions aren't good for calm price action, okay? They're conducive. Both of them. It's like the chicken and the egg. Which one came first? We like steady chart action and a lift. Slapping around here a little bit. Not a real clean entry. Just be a little careful with that. Let's move on. Meta. Now, I like Meta's been good to us. Back here. Look at the base. Look at back here. Look at that base right there. Simple base. When you go back, there's another one here, and we had to get out. And then there was one back here. I'm not bragging. Simple bases. Everybody can see it. And volume pickup. There you go. Another simple base and a volume pickup. And others. Simple bases. I can't stress it enough. It makes a huge difference. Now, this ran up and backed off and did it here and did it here and maybe doing it here. We don't know. I've got a price alert set. What does this need to do? It needs to push up with volume. But these are the things we teach in Mission Winners. Always look at price and volume combined. Green is good, red isn't as good. What do you see? Well, recently you see more red volume bars, more selling bars. Tells you just to be a little cautious if it triggers. There we go. Powerful lesson right there. Let's move on. Microsoft, when you have charts doing this, that indicates high investor emotions. Oh gosh, it's going up, it's great. Oh gosh, get me out. Oh nope, it's going again. Oh whoa, oh look at that, they gap, I'm taking. Gaps down the next day. High investor emotions. Be careful with that. Let it settle down. There's no clean entry here. Leave it alone. Let's move on. Netflix, see the simple base exit right in here, or the simple base right in here? There we go. And you could even say, well, there was a line there. Well, watch this. There's also line across there. There you go. Just taking it out. It had some volume coming into it. So we're in it. Maybe it'll keep going. If it does, we'll buy more. There we go. That's all. Is it going to continue? I don't know. Nobody knows the future. I really want you all to think about this, and this is part of the psychological background. Let the chart tell you what to do. Don't impose your will on the chart. Let it tell you what to do. By doing that, it relieves, it lessens stress. We don't have to sit, oh God, what's it? It's going to go. No, let the chart tell you what to do and learn how to read price and volume. And that's what we teach in Mission Winners, and it works. By doing that, by the way, all my managed accounts, and I'm not bragging, I'm grateful for this. All my managed accounts were out well before the crash of '87, and just told us. So that's just, I'm grateful. And I have to give credit where credit's due, okay? A man that I was fortunate enough to meet a couple of times, Dr. Martin Zweig. If you don't know who he is, Google him, ZWEIG. What a kind soul he was. What a kind soul. Just thankful to have met him, talked with him a couple of times. Okay, here we go. NVIDIA's picking up, looks good, needs to show more power. Good start. We'll watch and see what happens. Max list stock. Continue onward. Black. Runs up, they take it down. Earnings moving and thinking around here a little bit. When you have really whippy action like that, that's indicative of high investor emotions. Just be a little cautious with that, okay? That's whipping around, folks. You got to be cautious. You can say, oh, that was a good bar on Friday. I agree, okay? So let's suppose it does trigger. If you buy because it's got a lot of whipping in it, what can you do to lessen risk? Buy less shares. As I state on every one of these videos, good investing is not one size fits all right? Tesla's doing good. We're in it. And you can see on the weekly, just a nice long weekly base, okay? And it's, volume on the weekly. Look at the volume come into it on the daily. Isn't that awesome? They voted, folks. On this bar, the stock did volume of 69, I'm going to round up or down, okay? 69 million. On this bar, right here, 165 million. Almost 100 million more shares, folks. And you look at the daily, because I can kind of see it, but then you look at the long weekly and go, oh, that looks pretty darn good. Yes, there we go. Is it going to continue? I don't know. Get in line with it. We're in good shape. We'll see where it goes. You can sell a little bit into strength too if you want, but not all of it, okay? Limit losses, don't limit profits. Continue onward. Visa had a big gap up, and I do believe it was on earnings. There's no real clean entry on that now, so be a little careful with that. And we go back to the top. Anyway, that's an overview of the max list stocks. I love those stocks. Focus on those, but always look for simplicity. And remember, and I said this again at the meetups for years, people talk with their mouths and vote with their pocketbooks. Go where they're voting. It will help you. I promise. All right, team, that's our weekly review. Hope it helps you get a clearer picture of where the market's headed and what stocks to keep an eye on. By the way, don't forget about our weekly top stocks to have on your watch list video coming out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're curious about what we covered last week, you can find the link to that video in the top right corner. Remember, these watch list videos are just a small taste of what our VIP members get with the daily key list videos on missionwinners.com. So if you're serious about finding those super performance stocks, consider joining us. Now, I'm curious to hear from you. What are your thoughts on today's market review? Do you have any questions or concerns? Feel free to drop a comment below. I love hearing from you. Thanks for sticking around for the whole video. If you liked it, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And remember, stay sharp, keep learning, and keep finding those winners.